So this first assignment was to talk about yourself, and I guess that's really never as easy as it sounds. Where would you even start? You could really start with the basics, I guess, like my name. I think that's a pretty good place to start. My name is Stephen Peterson. I live here in the beautiful country of Costa Rica in a little town called Santa Rosa. I work here with the ministry called Semillas de Vida. For you gringos that don't speak Spanish, that means seeds of life. And our goal here in this town is to be able to share the gospel with everyone here and to make disciples. Those are the two most important things that any ministry ever could do. And we are the only church in this town really sharing the exact same doctrine that we have. And our doctrine comes straight from the Bible. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to teach the Bible, teach the Word of God to the people of this town. And right now, in my opinion, they're really craving it. They're eating it up. We are growing at a really good rate here at the ministry. And it's so pleasing to be able to see fruit coming from the ministry and everything. In fact, I may look sunburned in the video. I don't know how well the lighting will work. I'll be playing with that a little bit. But that is because we just finished our vacation Bible school, and my job was to do the games. And I had to stand out in the sun for 4 hours, and that's never as easy as it sounds to stand out in the sun for 4 hours, especially here when you're a lot farther south. The sun is a lot stronger than you would ever imagine, and you get burned very easily. So I started reapplying sunscreen like every 2 seconds, something like that. However, while I live here in Costa Rica, I was not born in Costa Rica. I was born in New City, New York. I lived there. That was the longest town, New City, that I lived there for 12 years. And after that, we moved to a very small town called Pine Bush, New York. That's in Orange County. I like to say that is such a small town that it only has 2 stoplights. And the biggest attraction there now is a tractor supply store. So that really kind of gives you the big picture of what it is. Even though it's New York, it's not the big city. That's a lot closer to New City, where I was born. Then in 2012, I think it was, me and my family moved to Tennessee. Because as you see, my mom was born in Tennessee, but my dad was born in New York. After my mom finished college, I think she was looking for a job, went up to stay with some family in New York, and that's how she met my dad. And then they stayed there until 2012. Ooh, posture is gonna be really hard. Something that's very big about me is that I really like to slouch. This is going to be something that's very hard about this class. Is to not slouch. I need to stand tall. Actually, you probably can't tell from this video, but I am 6'6". It is the exact same size as Michael Jordan. However, I cannot jump nearly as high as Michael Jordan can jump. So my hobbies and interests. This is something that I'm really stealing the idea from that other assignment that we had to write an introduction about myself, which I realized was a lot easier now. My hobbies and interests are sports mainly. I grew up playing baseball. My dad was always my coach. Baseball was my one true love, right below Jesus. God, Jesus, baseball, family, friends, ministry. Baseball's right up there with a lot of other things. My team is obviously the Yankees. I was born in New York. We're a Yankees family. So other than sports, I also really like cycling. That's something I always do with my dad. Is we started off doing mountain biking for a couple years, and we moved into road cycling. One funny story that happened to me was why we switched from mountain biking to road biking was because I broke my collarbone. This one right here. So the whole story goes like this. They have these terrain parks. It's not like they're giant jumps. It's more like there's bridge going from one rack to the next or a big drop. And there was this one little wooden ramp I thought I could go down. But because it rained the day before, the wood just so happened to be a little bit wet. And so when I went down, I lapped the brakes a little bit too hard, and so it didn't slow me down enough. And I really just slid down the wood because it rained the day before. I didn't listen to the warning that we were given to be careful. And I slid down the wood, and my front tire hit, and I flipped over, and I somehow twisted enough so I didn't land on my head and break my neck, but I landed on my shoulder, and funny enough, we didn't instantly go to the hospital. I hit the ground, pretty hard. At least to me it was pretty hard. I broke my collarbone. And my dad instantly came up and said, "You didn't break anything, you're good." And this terrain park just so happened to be at the top of the mountain. So we walked down the rest of the mountain to get to the car, rode back to the cabin, spent the rest of the day in pain. And then the next day, my mom and sisters came up. They said, "You guys can't just have all this fun to yourselves, you guys. We want to come up too and enjoy it." So they came up for the last night. And as my mom tells me, the night that she spent there, I apparently woke up in the middle of the night and said, "Why does my shoulder hurt so bad?" And then I laid back down and went to sleep. So we got up the next morning and went to the hospital. And that's how I broke my collarbone. So yes, my path to the class, that's one of the main things I was supposed to be talking. My path to this class is because, well, I need to take this class to graduate. However, I do value public speaking and the skill of public speaking and public rhetoric in terms of public debate and apologetics. I think those are very useful skills to have in life. My specific path in this life is I am here technically in Gap 2.0. What that means is I come back from another year after the gap year that I took before so I could come and study more, but directly into missionaries and directly help with the ministry, full-time, live with the host family. The other part of that is to be taking classes, Bible classes, so that I'm always studying Bible. I will never, ever, ever stop studying Bible. And so we chose to go with LBC because we have a really good partnership with LBC between SCORE International, the company I'm here with, and LBC. The director of SCORE in Costa Rica went to LBC, and that's kind of how it happened. So this is a part of my Gap 2.0 program, is to be on here in this class at LBC. So I think that mostly sums me up. There's not a lot else to it that I can just tell to my telephone that's on a Spider-Man mattress right now in order to make it high enough so that I'm not having to squat down at all. Hopefully there's something I can learn from it. One of the big things I do in this ministry is I do Sunday school teaching, I do Bible studies, I cover youth group teaching sometimes, as well as just in general, kind of talking in front of people, teaching, sharing whatever knowledge I have, sharing the gospel, making disciples, public speaking, and little tips and tricks that I can do, little points that I can make, ways to present arguments, ways to pick apart arguments, ways to present stories, ways to story tell. I always think those are really good, especially if you can teach me what to do with my hands. That's always the best. I make really weird, long gestures with my hands. I'm very excited for this class.